I probably micromanage all those areas. So it's not any one person's defense or special teams. It's the Broncos. And so there's some freedom, and yet you guys just haven't been in enough meetings.
You got to love it. That's our guy, Sean Payton. Who said Chad, by the way?
I'm still going to call some plays on game days.
I'm still going to call some plays on game days, Chad. It's
of course. Why wouldn't you?
Give me your reaction to all of that news as we start Altitude Football. Brought to you by our great friends at Journey Spice. You can use this QR code right here, and you can save yourself 10%. You can go to Amazon.com, and you can save yourself 10% using the code 2026 playoffs. What's the meal tonight, Chad? Talk to me.
Well, only in town for a little bit, and we overbought vegetables again. So it'll be another Journey Spice forward soup. I think it's going to be some kind of tomato and pepper soup we're going to put together. Nice. And I saw the box of Moroccan spice sitting there on the counter as I was leaving the house. So I expect to walk into the house with the delicious smell of pepper, tomato, Moroccan spice soup.
That is so great. Again, QR code right here. Save yourself 10% using the code 2026 playoffs. Thank you, Journey Spice. All right, we're going to get into the combine, but first, I got to get your takes on all things Sean Payton, George Payton, and the revelation that Davis Webb is calling plays.
Before we get to that, I am in a spot that's got some significance to you and I.
Okay.
This very spot where I am sitting right now.
Yeah.
This is where we did one of the very first Kill You With Truth podcast. Yes. We were all shoulder to shoulder, squeezing in, trying to get in front of one camera.
Oh, my God.
We've come a long way since then.
I remember one of those times, it took me 3.5 hours to upload a 15-minute video to YouTube, and I just didn't understand what was taking so long. And we have come a long way, my friend. Yes, indeed. We've learned that the best thing is to never be in the same room.
Who knew? Why try to get all these people together in one place when you can just log on and talk to a camera?
We were killing ourselves to hang out together, and that was a terrible mistake. But by the way, I love the way we talk about the past as if we didn't have cars or something, and we all got to work on a horse. I mean, it was just like a couple years ago, but it was what it was. It was what it was. All right, your take on stuff. Yeah.
All right, I'm not surprised that Sean Payton is going to give most of the play calling away to Davis Webb. I think it's the right move. I think Sean has noticed, maybe my fastball is not what it once was. But at the same time, I think he also recognizes to be able to manage a game. So to not hand over complete play calling duty. And as he referenced in the clip you just played, he's also got input on special teams. He's got input on defense. He is the head coach of the football team. And I've been around a Bill Cowher or a Bill Belichick who don't call plays, but I have heard them plenty of times talking to a special teams coordinator, defensive coordinator, offensive coordinator, and telling him what he wants to see here. Not the specific play, but, hey, we got to pound him. Let's bring some pressure. Now's the time. Are we thinking fake here? I mean, all those kind of conversations that Sean Payton needs to have. I think he'll be far better at managing the game because he can look at it from a global perspective rather than majority of the game having his head down, looking at a play sheet. Now that's going to be Davis Webb's job, and he can think about some of the bigger trends, think less specific and more globally, and I think the Broncos will be better off for this.
What do you think the learning curve for Davis Webb will be?
I think it'll be significant. And I don't expect him to be awful. I'm sure he's earned this opportunity because of what he has shown Sean Payton so far. And he's called games in preseason games, and he's been a part of other play calling ventures in the past. So I don't think he's going to be awful, but at the same time, every play caller goes through a learning curve. And the ability to somehow keep your offense consistent while not being predictable, learning when to call the trick play, learning not to call as many damn screens as Sean Payton called last year. All those things will be figured out on the fly. So, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, if he's still calling plays, maybe he's a head coach by then, but if he's still calling plays, I expect him to be far better than what he'll be this coming season.
Okay. I think it's – do you think Sean came to this on his own, or do you think, not that he was told to, but he could read the tea leaves when it came to Davis Webb? Meaning, if we don't keep him and give him some responsibilities, we're going to lose him. He's going to be gone, and we are going to have a talented coach not with us anymore, even if that talented coach could possibly prove a threat to me later on.
I think, well, there's also the factor external. You're talking about just the internal Sean Payton musings of, what do I do with this talented coach that I have? How do I keep him up here?
Yeah.
Versus maybe the Walton Penner group.
Sure.
Somebody from there said, hey, Sean, have you thought about giving up play calling? Have you thought about looking at it from a more global perspective? So I think both of those are probably partially true. I'm not saying someone from ownership told Sean Payton he can't call plays anymore, but I think it was discussed and came down from there. And obviously, as the richest owners in sports, they command a little bit more power than the typical owner. And I think Sean Payton would be right to listen to those folks with their suggestions. But also, happens on coaching staffs all the time, where a young up-and-coming coach, it's clear that he's going to get an opportunity someplace else. So how do I keep this guy here as long as I can? Of course, the next move would be to name him associate head coach. That's the only other elevation he can have in title to prevent somebody from taking him with a equal title. So I would expect that maybe after this season for Davis Webb, because he's going to continue to get interviews for head coaching opportunities.
Yeah, because if things are successful as we anticipate they will be, I mean, you have everything in place. Why wouldn't you continue to be at least a playoff team, right? And what happens in the playoffs, I mean, whatever. But now that you're at the level, and they weren't at that level for like 8 straight years, but now they're at the level where playoffs are kind of of course we're in the playoffs. Now what do we do? Well, depending on the level of success, Davis Webb could get a head coaching job offer next year.
He could.
So, and if you're the Walton Penner group, this is the really sticky wicket. Would you rather have the guy who's going to be the coach for the next Bo Nix's career? Or would you rather have the guy that would be Bo Nix's next couple of years? Unless you think, Chad, and if you think Sean Payton has the gumption to be like, he's 62 right now, and Pete Carroll was in his 70s, right? Like 70, something like that. Now it's done with Pete Carroll, but I mean, it would theoretically go for another 8 years with Sean. What do you think? And if you're the Walton Penner group, how are you looking at it?
Well, I've got to think that by removing Sean Payton from play calling, whether it's self-driven or ownership-driven, they've just extended his career. Because while he lost his fastball as a play caller and getting the play in with 20 seconds or 18 seconds left on the play clock, so your quarterback can get to the line of scrimmage and go through some fake cadences and do the motions and all that stuff without having to snap up on him, now he just extended his career. He can be a game manager, which is not an insult when you're a quarterback, and it's definitely not an insult when you're a head coach. So for Sean Payton to marry himself to Bo Nix, as Belichick did to Tom Brady going into his late 60s, early 70s, I could see that happening. Of course, there would probably be a churn at the offensive coordinator / play caller position. But at least Sean Payton can guarantee he got himself a franchise quarterback, which is one of the pillars of playoff success.
Yeah, I don't think it was like put to him like, you got to do this. I think I think this is what George Payton does well. I think he enables conversations to end up in the direction where he wants them to go, which I think is a pretty skilled sort of new. Yeah, really. I mean,
a really dope skill set.
I don't have that. I'm too much of a jerk. I mean, I'm too. I would never be nuanced enough, or perhaps even patient enough. But I do think that's a skill set that not only does George Payton have, but I think Greg Penner's magic potion is questions. I think that's what Penner does the best. He's not a loudmouth. I think he asks pointed questions that make it pretty obvious where things should go. And that can be powerful too.
Well, if you've got two folks like that in ownership and in the GM spot, I think your franchise is going to be in a good place.
Yeah.
If you've got someone who's afraid, someone who's fearful of the coach or the GM or the owner is now too timid and doesn't have the confidence, even though he's not a football guy, he's a very powerful man. And the ability for him to ask questions and tee people up and see what their answers are, I think is obviously a very revealing exercise. And I think when you get up towards the tops of an organization, if you come across as a guy who's a dictator and you don't encourage conversation, then that limits the amount of conversation that's going to be had around you. But if you just ask questions and listen for people's answers and then draw your conclusions from there, I think it's a more even flow. Everyone feels appreciated, yet and still, because of your skill set, you're still driving the boat the way you want it to go.
We'll get Sean Payton was with Rich Eisen and Pat McAfee, and we're going to play some hypotheticals. We'll get to that in a second. And some changes up at CU. We'll get there too. But first, I got to get your reaction to this set of interactions.
There was. Why don't you ask Mike? No, I'm not going to answer the question about an injury. Right here. Ask him. Ask Mike. Next question. Next question. I'm not going to get into the injury. What I meant predisposed is there was a slight he's not, and there weren't multiple. So I have a problem, and Mike, I apologize. I have a problem when someone's quoting me to him on a conference call and they're inaccurate and they're one of our locals that shouldn't be. All right, next question.
And
he had it right with the first sentence. I'm not going to talk about injuries. And then what does he do? He goes and talks about injuries. So I get it. You have this, we all have this reflexive need to defend ourselves and try to provide some context. It's a human nature thing. But for him, his human nature in that regard is turned up a little bit too high. Just say, hey, you know what? It was an unfortunate interaction. I made a mistake. I shouldn't talk about injuries. It's not my place. We have a medical staff who's awesome at that, and leave it there. But to try to make a joke and then point the finger at Mike Kliss like Mike's the bad guy, no, you don't talk about injuries, coach, and none of this is a problem. None of this is a problem.
Yeah, let's not let's not forget.
And that was like predisposed right at that they always find a little bit more when they go in, and it wasn't a matter of if, it was a matter of when.
Didn't have any predisposed issues. Man, my ankles were feeling really good.
He said he had one in high school, and then he said he had one at Auburn.
I don't think he really should share how many surgeries I've had in the past, to be honest with you, but because I don't, he doesn't really even know that.
There was. Why don't you ask Mike?
Okay. Right.
So I appreciate you giving, because I began to wonder was this a casual conversation between Mike Kliss and Sean Payton, and could Mike have possibly misquoted him? But I was thinking, no, there couldn't be. So thank you for playing the clip of him, those words actually coming out of his mouth. And again, there is nothing to gain as the head coach or any coach to talk medical terms with the media and to start putting your fingers like what? You're going to describe a bone in someone's ankle? Or you're going to talk about some hairline fracture or some growth plate that wasn't in the right place? That's not your job, man. Don't do it.
We'll come back with a look at linebackers. Oh, inside linebackers, Chad. Your guys are front and center. Hang on.
There's a world of flavor out there, and to find it, you have to take the journey. Journey Spice Company handcrafts the most premium spice and seasoning blends that have no sugar, no salt, are certified USDA organic, non-GMO, vegan-friendly, and always planet-friendly. You are going to love serving amazingly delicious creations while knowing you helped reduce single-use plastics. Make sure to search for Journey Spice Company on Amazon today.
We thank you, Journey Spice. We love you, Journey Spice. Amazon.com. 2026 playoffs. That'll save you 10%. That info's it's coming down here. You just watch it the whole time. All right, Chad, inside linebackers at the combine. You, of course, were a fantastic inside linebacker. Does that still ring a bell for you when you see these guys working out? Do you have some flashbacks? Do you have some like, oh, man, that's what I used to do. That's who I used to be out there, that sort of thing. Do you get a little itch when you see them working out the combine?
Well, as just a little coincidence, I've been kind of clearing out my office and my storage unit, and I came across my combine T-shirt.
Okay, T-shirt.
Yes,
I bet it wasn't skin tight.
No, they were. It was a cotton T-shirt, and they were cotton shorts. And this was before the guys got a whole swag bag. I got a pair of shorts and a T-shirt, and I think a jock. I had to bring my own shoes and socks. So that's all I got for the whole combine experience. I went home, my bag was not full. So I did see that. But to your point, yes, I love seeing these guys. I love seeing these linebackers and their ability to take what I saw on the field, because I saw pretty much all the top prospects
exactly.
this year playing on the field, and then seeing them do their drills and work out. And so you'd be able to stack them up. I see what kind of player you're on the field, but now we're trying to compare apples to apples, oranges to oranges. Are you as fast as this guy? Can you change direction? How good is your shuffle? How smooth is your footwork in comparison to this other guy?
All right, let me give you a couple of quick hitters. And this is obviously a position of interest for the Broncos. The Broncos have spoken with a bunch of these guys in the interviews. You get a lot of interviews. I think you get like 45 interviews, something like that. But there's been a preponderance already. And I get it. Not everybody is at the combine yet. I do understand that. But it was a lot of inside linebackers. I want you just to give a quick hit and maybe possible Bronco not. Ready? Mm-hmm. Sonny Styles, linebacker, Ohio State. Stud.
If the Broncos can get him, we'd be happy for the next 10 years.
Anthony Hill Jr., Texas.
There's a little bit, some holes to his game for me. Didn't live up to the hype that I saw in all the Texas PR material that came whenever I was doing a Texas game. I think he could help the Broncos, but not at the same level as Styles.
Josiah Trotter, Missouri.
I like him. Hitter. Got good movement skills. Maybe not an initial starter, but could certainly play a role in year one.
Jacob Rodriguez, Texas Tech.
Love him. Love him. Love him. Love him. He may not wow folks from the skill perspective, but there's something about being a great football player. And he is a great football player. Maybe not a great athlete, but a great football player. And he does the one thing that I think is now more important than any other inside linebacker skill. He disrupts the ball, causes fumbles, recovers fumbles, gets interceptions. So he may miss a tackle or two, or he may not be able to get to the edge to stop that runner from converting to a first down, but he's going to make plays on the ball, which are going to give the ball back to the offense, which is probably most important in today's league.
Jake Golday, Cincinnati.
Did not see him in person. I like his skill set. I think he'd be another one of those rotational guys, not an instant impact player.
Kyle Lewis, Pittsburgh, and I got one more after that. Kyle Lewis, Pittsburgh.
Same category as the guy from Cincinnati. Yeah.
C.J. Allen, Georgia.
Like C.J. Allen. Like him quite a bit. Movement skills, all these Georgia guys. I mean, there's so many Georgia linebackers and front seven guys dominating in the NFL now. I think he fits that same mold. He would be an impact player, and he would be a very early starter for the Broncos.
When we look at inside backers at the combine, and I get it, it's a piece of the puzzle, but let's just focus on that piece of the puzzle. What matters when you watch these guys and what doesn't matter? And I get it. The interviews are the things that probably matter the most that we don't get to see. But of the things we do get to observe, what matters? What do you like seeing? What drills matter? And what do you just throw out the door and like, this is irrelevant?
40 is irrelevant. First 10, that's important. But 40 is, I won't say it's irrelevant. You can't run a 5.2. But if you're a 4.9 and someone else is a 4.6, but you have much better change of direction, because in the end, inside linebacker is a footwork position. You are running with people who are faster than you. You are taking on people who are bigger and stronger than you. And if you don't have good footwork, you can't do either one of those things. So your ability to change direction, to be able to shuffle, turn that into a run, turn that into a back pedal, is all very critical. And then one more important factor, when you watch them, which is hard to judge in some of the combine drills, is pad level. What is this guy's pad level? Is he up and down as he's changing direction and moving and going from side to side? Or is his pad level consistent no matter which way he's going? Because if your pad level is consistent, then your chances are you're going to be a good tackler. If your pad level is consistent, you're always in a position to take on a block. You're not going to get stuck on blocks. So those are the things that are most important for me. Footwork and pad level. If you're not fast, I'll figure out a way to make you better. But you got to be able to change direction quickly.
I love it, and the more that I know, the more that I'm interested in the combine, and nobody's better at that stuff than our guy, Chad Brown. All right, let's get to Sean Payton. You know, he didn't do the Super Bowl, but, boy, he's not missing many chances to be on Radio Row in terms of the programs at the combine, so we got a couple for you here. Here's first with Pat McAfee.
I think this young coach, and I say young, Davis Webb is something, and sure – it's funny, the timeline that when you have a young coach like a Joe Brady or a Declan Doyle or any of these guys that I've been fortunate enough to hire when they're young coaches, like what you think is their timeline of success, position coach, coordinator, head coach, is always 2 years behind what the league sees. It's much quicker. And so I remember interviewing Davis. He's one of those few players that came from playing right into coaching. There's usually a couple of years. And he finished the interview, and we had a schedule with some other guys lined up, and he's heading to the airport. I turned to George Payton. I said, I don't know what we're doing letting him leave the building. Call the driver back up. He comes back and hire him. But he's going to be one of those guys, like just as I'm making him a coordinator, it's not on your timeline.
Yeah.
And and the same thing happens with these young players that all of a sudden hit it, and it's a young man's league. So I'm excited for him. Look, I'll still be involved. Having done it before, the thing that is a little unusual, like when you're in those studio sets, chairs, I did this with Fox, like, all right, where do you put your hands? How do I?
Yeah, sure.
And on game day, you feel like you got a call sheet, you're looking at it, like, you're kind of empty-handed.
Yeah, well, I'm excited to watch you be a CEO, full on.
Yeah, me too.
And I'm excited to see that evolution for you.
Okay. Boy, does this feel like spin to me.
Really?
A little bit, yeah.
But I think he's...
I will say let me say one thing.
Okay.
He does idolize Bill Parcells. And at a very similar stage in Parcells' career, he did exactly this. So, okay. But I think he was reading the writing on the wall, too. And he's saying it happens quick and they advance and whatever. It's going to be a fascinating decision for Greg Penner 2 years from now. That's all I'm saying.
So you are throwing out there, maybe to be the first one, to talk about Davis Webb as a replacement for Sean Payton, that the game moves past Sean Payton and Davis Webb being the hot young guy. Penner doesn't want to lose him. He makes the bold move, moves on from Payton, moves him upstairs to a Bruce Arians role, and Davis Webb takes over.
If Pat Bowlen had to do it over again, would he have allowed Dan Reeves to fire Mike Shanahan and Shanny goes to the Raiders, eventually comes back? Or hindsight being 2020, when he finds out Reeves wants to fire Shanahan, do you just fire Reeves and hire Shanahan? I mean, what do you think Pat Bowlen would have done if he had a second chance at it?
But I think we can agree that Mike Shanahan was a more successful coach than Dan Reeves. But Dan Reeves was a very, very good coach for a long time.
But it's all about the relationship with the coach and the quarterback. I'll tell you this. If everything is copacetic with Bo Nix and Sean Payton, you go forever. Go as long as you want. I just want to point this out.
There was. Why don't you ask Mike?
And the nature of that is the Bo Nix stuff, okay? That's all I'm pointing out. I'm not trying to, well, maybe I am trying to create something. I'm just pointing out what exists. If you think it's no big deal, then fine, and maybe it's not. But all I'm hearing, young, talented, he'll move up the ladder if we're successful, and history, the history of the Broncos specifically. when you have a quarterback with a better relationship with his offensive coordinator than his head coach. We saw it here. And guess what? The Broncos didn't win a Super Bowl until Shanahan came back.
John Elway was a generational talent who his talents mandated certain allowances. I'm not sure if Bo Nix is in that same category. So, because what you're saying is Bo Nix is good enough to influence who becomes the head coach of the Broncos.
Not yet. But in 2 years, how much money is Bo Nix about to make?
But it'll just be starting money for an NFL quarterback. He will be no different than any other caliber, other franchise caliber quarterback. That'll be $60 million. So what? That's what all the other quarterbacks make.
Okay, all right, cool. If that ain't a big deal, to me, I think that is going to be a big deal. I think you're going to be financially and deeper committed to Bo Nix. And don't forget, we're building the Burnham Yard, what Bo built. We're doing that, bad boy. We're doing all of that. So we got to have successful football. I think Bo's influence, which apparently is nothing right now, according to Sean Payton, I think that might, be a little bit bigger. I think. I kind of hope, because that means the team is having success. But, hey, man, that's just me. It's just your boy. It's just your boy.
I see you playing seeds of chaos. I see you.
All right. I got one more for you, and this is Sean Payton with Rich Eisen. And this is a hypothetical. What if Bo was okay?
Looking back at the playoffs, the narrative is that had Bo Nix not broken his ankle, you could have won the whole damn thing. Do you feel that is fair or not?
I think it's unfair a little to Seattle in that, look, they did it. It's like I'm reading the Twitter feeds on the Olympic hockey, and it is what it is. And so the timing obviously wasn't great, and yet certainly can't diminish from the first 2 years he's had as a pro. But it's tough. Look, it's a grind to begin with, and then the further you go, the more difficult it will be if you lose. And so it's tough to get to that spot in the playoffs and then lose to another good team.
Looking back at
Sean didn't really take the bait there,
Nope.
so good for him. Because he doesn't want to sound like a whiny jerk, right? Like,
Right.
He's actually pointing his finger at everybody that thinks 3-on-3 hockey sucks and the Canadians got a raw deal. So I appreciate what Sean's doing there. But what if? What if? Do you think he's right? And do you think he tempers his response because, hey, let's face it, it was going to be rough beating the Seahawks?
I think he played that perfectly. Give the Seahawks their due credit. They deserve it. That they
did it.
They did it. They were the most complete team in football. By that standard, that they would make them the best team. They ended the season as the best team because they were the most complete team. They made plays in critical moments in all three phases. So I'm not sure if Bo Nix would have been enough. That Broncos offense clearly struggled, until the fourth quarter for a number of games. Would they have been able to overcome the Seahawks defense? We can't say, but it's certainly great to see Sean Payton, as you point out, not take the bait and not put his foot in his mouth, because he's done that enough times to hopefully have learned that lesson now.
Our friend Brandon Cristal at Guerrilla Sports had a scoop. Warren Sapp is out. After a couple years there at CU, he's not going to be there any longer. And we got this information as we are reflecting of Rob Livingston going to the Broncos, Chad. And that's got to be a pay cut, right? I think he was making like 1.6 or whatever as a DC at CU. You're a passing game coordinator with the Broncos? Yikes. So Sapp gone, Livingston gone, some guy named Marv, who nobody's ever heard of because he hasn't really coached with the team. He was hired in the offseason, is now your DC. Your overall thoughts on these moves with the Broncos, but more specifically how it impacts your Buffaloes?
Consistency is a factor in success. And the fact that Prime has turned over coordinator on both sides of the ball and special teams coordinators at such a rapid rate, that's not good. That's not good. So for Livingston, I think he recognized the opportunity to hitch himself to Vance, who will probably be in the head coaching cycle again after this year, to move on from CU, which may not have a very good year this year, versus going to the Broncos, who at the very least we expect them to be a playoff team, if not a deep run playoff team, to put himself in that Vance orbit and universe makes complete sense. Vance becomes head coach. Robert becomes DC. They both grew up together in that Bengal system with Marvin Lewis. There's a track record there between them. That one makes complete sense to me. The pay cut, I'm sure, is a bit of a haircut, but I'm pretty sure he's thinking further ahead. He's thinking a lot further ahead about what happens not this next year, but 2, 3, 4 years down the road. I think he put himself in a position where he can be an NFL DC sooner than later. And as far as Warren Sapp, I didn't love the hire to begin with. I'm not necessarily sad to see him go. While Warren Sapp, the player, was a Hall of Fame player, not every Hall of Fame player translates to being a coach. And, if you're the guy who's supposed to tell people what not to do, should they also be able to look at you and your life and also learn on what not to do as well? There's all that goes into it as well.
So Livingston would rather be connected to VJ than Prime for less.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes, because there's a greater future potential for him. NFL DC, doesn't have to recruit, not dependent upon 17-year-olds and NIL money. And this year, the transfer portal, they went lower level. They didn't go and get guys from Alabama as they have in the past. They went lower level. So I think this latest experiment in Boulder, I'm not sure how it pays out. I want it to be successful. I'm hoping it will be. But you're making this assumption that these guys, because they had success at a lower level of football, are suddenly going to be able to play Big 12 football. We're going to find out.
Do a cruise with the Steelers? Is that right?
That you are correct. I leave on Sunday, a Steeler cruise full of activities in the Dominican Republic and Puerto Rico and on the Royal Caribbean. Yeah, so I'll be taking part in Q&As and beach parties and
show on Monday. Are you at the Lido deck, or are you taking a week off from that bad boy?
No, I'll be there. I'm not sure if I'll be on the Lido deck or if Doc, what was the Isaac was the bartender on the Love Boat. I'm not sure if they'll be behind me while I'm talking, but I will be broadcasting from the cruise. I already bought the Wi-Fi package for the cruise.
Okay. All right. Well, there you go. I'm pretty sure Isaac was the only black guy on the Love Boat, by the way, Chad. So I don't know how you feel.
Well, in this
about
case,
that one.
There'll be 15 former Steelers there and Steeler coaches. So I will not be the only one.
Okay. Well, Isaac's got some help this year. That's good.
Yes.
That's good. Good to know. All right, my man. We'll talk to you later. Thank you to Journey Spice. And hey, are you a dog or
Which one are you? A dog or a cat? Exactly.